All right, today we're going to dive deep into a concept that sits right at the intersection of energy, computation, and crypto. It's called Qubitcoin. We're going to break down what it is and maybe even more importantly, what it absolutely isn't.
So, it all kind of kicks off with this idea, something Elon Musk once said. Now, on the surface, that sounds like a classic, wild, futuristic statement, doesn't it? But what if there's something much, much deeper going on there?
See, for anyone who works in physics or high-performance computing, this isn't just some random musing. It actually points to a fundamental truth. In the long run, the ultimate settlement layer for everything, well, it isn't banks, it's not even blockchains, it's the laws of physics, it's energy. And once you start thinking from that foundation, a project like Cubitcoin suddenly just snaps right into focus. Okay, so if we're going to say energy is the ultimate currency, we hit a problem right away. The quality of that energy matters a lot. I mean, sure, a joule is a joule, but what you actually do with that joule is what creates all the value. And this illustrates the point perfectly. A kilowatt hour that you use just to run a space heater in a garage, that's pretty low-value energy. But take that exact same kilowatt hour and use it to perform an incredibly complex quantum simulation. Now you're talking about a completely different class of product. It's highly structured, it's incredibly valuable. You know, this whole idea of sorting energy by quality, it isn't new at all. Just think about the oil market for a second. Nobody just talks about the quantity of oil, right? The price is defined by its quality. Are we talking about raw crude oil, diesel, or that super highly refined jet fuel? Let's really drill down on this refinery analogy, because it is the key to this whole explainer. You start with the raw stuff, crude oil, that's like our raw electricity, then it goes through a refinery. That's a super complex structuring process. And what comes out the other side? Jet fuel, a specialized, high-grade, super valuable product. Just keep that process locked in your mind. Okay, so if we have these different grades of computational energy, how do you reliably measure that quality? I mean, if you want to build a whole market for it, you need a trusted way to prove that what you're buying is actually digital jet fuel and not just, useless heat. And this is where Cubitcoin's secret sauce comes in, something called Superdense consensus, or SDC. The best way to think about it isn't just as an algorithm, but as a kind of cryptographic assay office. It's the verification step. It doesn't just count how much energy was burned. It checks for the unique statistical fingerprints that prove a real, physically meaningful simulation actually happened. In short, it verifies the quality. So now, we've got our framework, right? We know energy has different grades of quality, and we have a way to measure that quality. So the big question is, where does Cubitcoin itself actually fit into this picture? Now, this slide right here is probably the most important one for understanding Cubitcoin's place in the universe. Let's be super clear, it is not a Bitcoin competitor. Bitcoin's genius was in crystallizing raw electricity into digital gold, a store of value. Cubitcoin is trying to do something totally different. It aims to crystallize the output of valuable simulation into digital jet fuel, which creates a marketplace for high-end computation itself. They have two completely different goals. And that's really the key takeaway. Cubitcoin isn't trying to be another version of money. It's trying to create and price a brand new digital commodity, the scarce, super high-value output of powerful computation. Now, what makes this whole system so compelling is what it's built on. It's not just anchored in clever code or some economic incentives. Nope, it's anchored in something way more fundamental. This quote just nails it. Unlike traditional currencies or assets, the value here is tied directly to something that's immune to politics and economic games. You simply cannot fake the output of a complex physical simulation. The physics won't let you. So why can't you cheat it? Because the ultimate bosses here aren't some group of miners or developers. The bosses are the non-negotiable laws of the universe. The amount of coherent simulation you can squeeze out of a single watt of energy is fundamentally capped by quantum mechanics, by thermodynamics, and by the hard, cold realities of computational science.
Okay, I get it. This is all fascinating from a physics point of view, for sure. But what's the real-world application here? Why would you build this unbelievably complex system? Why should you or I actually care about a market for digital jet fuel?
Because that market, it already exists. Right now, there is a massive global shadow market for exactly this product. We're talking about industries from pharmaceuticals to fusion research that pay staggering amounts of money for access to the exact kind of high-coherence simulation that Qubitcoin is designed to incentivize and verify. The demand is absolutely there, right now. So, what's the end game? What's the big vision here? It's to take this incredibly expensive, centralized market for scientific computation and completely flip it on its head. The goal is to create an open, decentralized marketplace that's anchored in physics, where the token itself acts as a verifiable receipt, a proof that you did that valuable work. And that brings us right back to where we started. It's not trying to replace Bitcoin's role as digital gold. It's building the refinery. It's totally focused on creating a market for a highly refined, high-value product that's derived from the raw commodity of energy. So, we'll leave you with this one last thought to chew on. If we follow that idea from Elon Musk to its logical conclusion, if energy really does become the base layer of all value, then what Cubitcoin is really asking is, what is the true market price for a verifiable, computationally derived scientific breakthrough? That's a pretty fascinating question to think about. Thanks for watching.